Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Planning Board for Tuesday, February 17th. The time is 6 p.m. Present this evening is myself, Chairman Matthew O'Neill, Vice Chairman Jean Gagne, Secretary Derek Lombard. Members of the Planning Board present this evening include Christopher Lawler, Perry Kellogg, James Nicholas, Morris Devine, and our new alternate member. I'd like to welcome this evening, Jeff Russo. Present this evening is our principal planner, Aiden Adams, our minute taker, Chloe Chanel, and standing in for our assistant solicitor for planning and zoning, Scott Levesque, is our the one and only James Murphy. Thank you very much to all those. Yes. Yes, I did. Yep. Caught him just as he came in my peripheral vision. Okay. First order of business this evening is we have approval of minutes. We have two sets of minutes this evening. The first is for December 2nd. And we do have, I believe, a couple of, if I remember correctly, there was somebody who was not present for that meeting.
I was here. I'd like to make a motion to approve the December 2nd minutes.
All right.
Second.
All right. We have a motion that is seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain, I believe I was not present. I was in travel.
Motion carries 6-0 with one abstaining. We also have minutes from December 16th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve, seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That is 7-0. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Before we start this evening, I just want to check to see if there are any changes to the agenda. Are there anything, Aiden, that we need to change from this evening?
Nope, nothing here.
Anything from members of the board? This is a huge agenda tonight. I want to make sure we get through everything. No, we're all good? Okay. There's a ton of old business here. E1 is this one item that says none, I believe. So we have no old business this evening. So our first order of business this evening is F1, and that is 2026 MNLD01, pre-application review, minor land development, Rings End, 248 Post Road, Assessors Map 112, Lot 23A. The planning board will engage the applicant in a discussion of the proposed project, ask questions, and provide feedback. The board may take public comment. Sergio,
Chair.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the board this evening, for the record, Sergio Chirenzio with Chirenzio and Associates, offices at 99 Mechanic Street in Pawcatuck, Connecticut. The application in front of you this evening was prepared by my office with a group of project team. I'll kind of go into those players that we have put a lot of thought and effort into this. For the record, I am a licensed engineer in the state of Rhode Island, and I am president and principal of Chirenzio and Associates that prepared this application. With me here this evening, next to me to my right is Mr. Craig Sinclair. He is the owner's representative and project manager for Rings End, who is the applicant this evening for the site that we're proposing redevelopment on. Also with me this evening behind me is Rebecca Nolan, landscape architect for our project, and also Tim Foley with Carlin Construction Management, who is the Rings End has engaged as a construction manager to bring us through the process of design development and hopefully jumping right into construction as soon as we can get this project approved through local and state permitting. In addition to that, we've, the project has also a few other consultants, one of which is Paul Bannon, our traffic engineer, who has completed a traffic study for this project and we just got the report this week, which will be submitted along with our preliminary plan subsequent to this pre-application. The architect is Silver Petroselli, and they're working with some structural and MEP engineers, one of which is Allied Consulting. So they're obviously not all here this evening. We're going to try to keep this, mostly high level. We will go over some of the history of the site. I think most of you affectionately and will recall it to be Benny's, the prior Benny's site, which has not been in place for a significant amount of time. I think most folks are tired of looking at the vacant building on that corner, and hopefully this is the appropriate use and development to take its place. And I know my client is very serious about making this site something that is going to be the property to make some significant improvements, sparing a little expense in doing the right job that needs to be done here to redevelop the property to the appropriate needs of the facility that they propose there, and making it look a really nice spot, given the high visibility in the town of Westerly that this site is and has been. With that, I wanted to have Craig give just a little introduction about Rings End. I'm assuming some of you know the company as lumberyard and construction materials, but I'm going to let him go into that, give a little bit of history. He's worked on many projects for Rings End and developed a lot of sites under his management. So I'll let him say a few words, and then I'll go into some details about the site development proposal, and then kick it to Rebecca Nolan to go through some of the landscape proposal. And Craig will then wrap up with some of the building design. So if you like any of the building design features, Craig's the guy to give the praise to. If you have any criticisms, we'll report it back to our architect. So Craig, if you want to go ahead and just make sure you can use this mic or that one. It's already out, so you should be awesome.
Is that good?
Yep.
It's my first time. You just got to get it close to.
Yep.
Thank you, Sergio. And thank you for accommodating us tonight. Again, I'm Craig Sinclair, the owner's rep. I've been with Rings End for over 30 years, and I was the marketing director at some point. Now I design all of their stores and showrooms. And we started in Darien, Connecticut in 1902. That was our first location. That's the mothership. And we currently have 8 full service lumber yards, 7 in Connecticut, 1 across the border in New York, north of Fairfield County. We also have, I think to date, maybe 27 standalone Benjamin Moore paint stores throughout Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. We don't have any retail locations in Rhode Island. This has always been a great market for us, and we've been looking for property for a number of years. And this came along about a year ago, and we think it's a great opportunity for us. It's a little bit of a small patch for us, but I think we can make it work. We've done some extensive research and done a lot of back and forth on flow and getting all of our materials necessary. We're primarily a contractor yard. It's about maybe 70-30, our business, contractor and homeowner. But we have always embraced the homeowner from a traditional lumberyard standpoint, because they're the ones who usually make the buying decisions and hire builders. So we typically try to have our facilities be homeowner friendly, as well as our showrooms and stores. We sell windows, doors, kitchens, architectural hardware, and we have a pretty good hardware lines. We don't get into full-fledged plumbing and electrical, but we do embrace the homeowner, and we've always felt this is a good market for us, and we're really happy for the opportunity to come to Westerly and make a go of it. Sergio.
Yep, thanks, Craig. So I'm going to start with a very brief background. I think everyone knows the site pretty well, so I'm going to share my screen. I'll switch around here a little bit. This is just a photo we pulled offline. It was one of the marketing materials from a website, but this is the former Benny's site, the building, and that signature angled up roof that used to have the Benny's moniker on it, where everyone would access at the corner of the building. And the showroom kind of in the front. These are features that I think you'll see with our proposed architectural that we're really embracing. And then the remainder of the building is going to be largely kept in the same, it's going to be in the same footprint. And we'll have some access doors to go through for some internal racking for pickups of lumber. So we'll get into that a little bit here. If this changes, yeah. So this is just a vicinity map of the site, for some context. Like I said, most people know where Benny's is, on the corner of Dunn's Corners, Bradford Road, and Route 1, mostly surrounded by commercial entities, with the mobile station to the south across Route 1, along with the Valenti dealership. And I believe it's Sunnyside. There's is the restaurant, breakfast restaurant on that side. And then on the to the west side, the community credit union, along with the shopping plaza, and then the Cornerstone self-storage, which is now, I think, Compass is the most recent owner of that. Before it was Storage Sense, and then the shopping plaza across from there, the liquor store, Ocean State Liquors, as well as the former Shore Dinner Hall, which is actually getting ready to be renovated into a new Dunkin' Donuts, moving from across the street. But largely, all commercial entities. And then as you move north, getting into the some of the existing residential north and northeast to South Woody Hill, around obviously Walmart. And we'll get into a little bit of the relationship with the property surrounding Benny's on the land side with Walmart, because it's got some interesting history, how Benny's lot came to what it is today. Oops. So I'll get into the site plan here. I'm going to bring up, as I mentioned, the relationship with the Benny's lot. There's a few things that we need to go over, just kind of logistics of the property. Once again, the building itself, it's faded back a little bit. Largely going to stay just where it is in that northern to northwestern portion of the property. And it's surrounded with the parking area, which drains off from a northwesterly down to a southeasterly direction into a paved leak-off. Portion of it goes into this large stormwater basin, which is on on Walmart's property. The remainder of the site does drain off, and this basically down into this area here. So there's some leak-offs, kind of these sluiceways that go off onto Dunn's Corners Bradford Road that takes the rest of the runoff into the state drainage system. One of the things you can see, this highlighted strip on the left side here. About 6 months ago, I think Craig started the work to approach the Rhode Island Department of Transportation about purchasing that strip of land. So that highlighted hatch portion with this kind of dense hatching currently is not owned by Rings End. However, as this past week, Craig got confirmation that Rhode Island DOT has gone through their processes, and they would be selling that portion of land to Rings End. And why that is important, because that side has historically been very tight for access. I think most of you, if you ever went into Benny's and used that side street, it was just a very cumbersome and difficult access to get around on Benny's. And we'll get into more of what the proposal is, but that strip of land is important, both for giving some more width to that access way. But also we're going to be, staging some transformers, utilities, generators. Largely that won't be used for a main thoroughfare, but it's still an important access way, emergency purposes, and the like. So, and we'll get into some more of what is proposed over there. These other hatched areas I want to go through. So this double hatch here, this double line hatch, that is actually an existing easement that the current property owner, Rings End, holds over the Benny's property. So this is their property line on the inside, but you can see there's all these parking spaces here. So some point in the past, I think there was when Walmart came in, there was some probably some land deals that were done, and one of them was for Benny's to maintain this easement for the parking spaces, and it basically that's what it's for, and that's what it's described as, was to cover the Benny's so that they could have rights to those to that continued parking. There's this interesting remnant, but it's still in place of this T-shaped easement. That was actually for their septic system, for their leaching field. So there were some tanks up in this area, and they piped down to a leaching field that was in a grassy area on the Walmart property. Now, since then, that septic system was actually relocated and moved up into this area. And you can see it here. It's a bit faded back, but this was subsequently approved, looks like probably around 2015. So that easement was no longer needed. However, it still remains. It was never quitclaimed or given back to Walmart. So there is still an easement in place there. The third current easement is this one here with just the straight cross hatch. The property does not benefit from its own access. It travels over the Walmart property, but this rectangular shape is a current easement that covers the main access into the former Benny's lot, including that little grassy area in the front. So there's access off of Route 1 for egress and ingress there. What was curious when we started this project was that it was quite obvious that the Benny's lot had been draining to the large basin. And I think most of you are familiar with this as well, because it's a giant hole in the ground in front of Walmart, was that there was no formal easement that we could locate, nor any of the attorneys that we had worked with when Rings End purchased the property, to give any benefit of stormwater discharge. We went through previous DEM records, which this did show up on, but did not contemplate any stormwater actually going to it from the Walmart property. Walmart actually has a series of underground piping when they expanded their parking lot, and I believe put the Super Walmart edition on. I forget what the date was, but when that happened, this area got a little bit smaller, but it was still subject to discharge from the Benny's lot. So I think Craig and I have been working for the past few months at least, trying to contact Walmart and saying, listen, we've been putting this site has been discharging stormwater. We can't find any documentation, nor could they. But we pretty much said, listen, we're going to continue to put water there, and we would like a formal easement because historically part of the water that has drained off of this site has gone there. So we worked with their engineer, worked with some of their reps. We've been passed around a few times. But we're at the point where they said, yes, we recognize that stormwater does discharge to our property from yours. and that we will agree to an easement, get us the paperwork, and we'll go through that process. So, now, as far as stormwater goes, historically, it's gone there, and we would continue to send the same amount at the same rate, at the peak discharge volume, all of that, regardless if, we could get an agreement. But the good news is that we're trending and we're anticipating that we will have an agreement, so we don't have to get into and put this board in any position where they would have to make a decision based on water going onto someone else's property. We did not want to do that. So we hope when we come back for preliminary, we'll have that agreement, and that will be presented to you as well. So just some background on the stormwater, because it was very important, as we recognize that this site is almost completely impervious. And that's something that taking very seriously, and is a site driver to make sure that we're accommodating the stormwater appropriately.
There's not a single catch basin on the site now.
Now everything just drains overland, over the pavement from roof drains, hits the ground, either gets into the state right away or into this drainage area. Thank you, Craig. So with that background, the other things that we've done, we've met with the Rhode Island DOT. We had a meeting with probably 6 of their representatives through a Zoom. Craig has gone up there to speak with them. Got lost and ended up in the mayor's office, but the governor's office, excuse me. But had a fruitful meeting with them, as I referenced, for transferring that piece of land, which they plan on selling to Rings End. The meeting that we had with DOT was basically speaking to changes in curb cuts, which I will go over with you, and also making sure that we accommodated the stormwater drainage and did not increase, which is typical of a physical alteration permit. We can't increase the amount of stormwater that's going into the state system up to a 25-year storm event. I can tell you right now, we've done enough stormwater design on this site that we have mitigated the impacts, and I'll show you what that stormwater design for the most part looks like. We haven't fully worked out all the details on it, but we've run the numbers and we're comfortable with what we've designed thus far. So I think we'll get into the next thing is, since we were talking about Dunn's Corners, Bradford Road, starting at the northwest corner, there is an access up at the northwest corner of the property, right before you get into the secondary access to Walmart. This one will be closed 99% of the time and it will be gated. The only people that will be using it is probably the folks that work for Rings End if they need to exit there, and if there's any delivery trucks that want to exit out that. But this will not be a main thoroughfare. It'll be closed and locked for a majority of the time. I think you all are familiar with the secondary access. We're going to be closing that curb cut, and that one's going to be going away. What we will be introducing is a new curb cut further down south, closer to the intersection. We are cognizant that that opening up such a curb cut so close to an intersection can be a situation that is not favorable, but we went over this with our traffic engineer, and we specifically brought this up with DOT. They did not see any issue with it as long as it was a right in, right out entrance and exit. You see the same thing, I think, over at Westerly Crossing. When you're coming down Route 1, there's the same thing near the intersection, right in, right out only. So we would do the same thing here, and the traffic control would be that island in the middle that would direct traffic, but still be mountable to some respect for emergency vehicles and for larger vehicles that need to get in and out if they need to take that access way. Pretty wide berths coming in and out. One of Craig's criteria, because he knows his product, he knows the sites, is that we need to have wide berths for larger vehicles. We've also accommodated some larger parking spaces for guys with trailers that come in and need a place for a little extra space to park. So that was important when we came up with this parking design, and we went through back and forth with Craig with some iterations, and I think we've accommodated the needs of the site with respect to this use. Moving along to the Route 1 entrance, this has gotten widened from what's there now. Same kind of premise is that most likely this is where the larger trucks that are going to be coming in for deliveries, drop off lumber materials are going to be coming in. We've run auto turns for large tractor trailer trucks that can make it into this space, make the turn here. Once again, I know it looks like a sea of pavement here, but we're going to be, bringing vehicles in. We want to make sure they can get in to the site. And then this is a gated entrance on this side, but you can see the exit right in, right out. So you can take both turns, and then the larger berth to get vehicles in. Part of this is a modification to the striping in Route 1. Once again, we went over with our traffic engineer. He gave us the guidance on what this should look like. We reviewed it with DOT in our meeting, and we anticipate that this is something that they're going to be, that we've showed them, and that they're going to be, okay with and be able to approve. But basically what we've been doing is removing this striping here and creating a lane where right now it's just a hatched area, just painted. So that will provide, and not sure when it happened, but those markings pretty much blocked off Benny's entrance. And maybe because it was vacant for so long, that's when they changed. We don't know exactly when, but it basically, that hatching extended up to where if you were going to take a left into the entrance of Benny's, that was a hatching that it's not going to stop you from making that turn, but it's a visual cue that maybe you're not supposed to go that way. But DOT agreed that there is room for queuing there, and that will become a dedicated turning lane to take a left in if need be after the light. So overall, improving this situation for folks entering and exiting from Route 2, which is from Route 1, which is the main entrance to the site. That being said, we have expanded the parking area. We believe we've met all the parking requirements based on the amount of space we have for retail and office here. Those are the drivers of the parking calculations. The remainder of this building is going to be warehousing, where it's just going to be housing lumber and other materials. Bringing you kind of through the front here, that display area in front of Benny's is still going to remain a display area, although it's going to be significantly altered. We'll get into those renderings soon, which are in your packages. The entrance, I think, is going to be a heck of a lot more inviting. We spent a lot of work with Craig, as you know, he knows his product. He knows his facilities. Originally, we had some ADA spaces out in front there, and it was just, there was ramping and railings. Aesthetically did not look good, so those ADA spaces got moved, and it was rather intuitive up into the higher area, because this ramp here offers as a slope to get up to the higher elevations up here. So we put the ADA spaces right next to the building. They're already at the elevation they need to be, no ramping needed. And it actually worked out better for access into the building for ADA accessibility. And then the stairs and landscaping you'll see actually worked out a lot better. On the right side here, this is a three-sided shed. So it's enclosed on the west, south, and east sides, and it's open on the north, and accessed on this side, so that and it's an enclosed space, but except for the front where you can pull materials out. And actually, might be a good time for me to hand out some photos, and Craig will get into these a little bit further. I can explain them too. Give you a better idea of what that looks like, and we can pull up the the architecturals on that as well.
Those are just examples of other sheds similar in look and style to what we're proposing here.
So in those photos, I'm sorry, Craig, you'll see there's the three-sided shed that is in there, but also the umbrella. Can you remind me
Well, we call it an umbrella drive-through shed, which is the big long one. That's a shed that has a roof and ends on it, and you drive through the middle, and it's accessible on the west and east side. That's just what we call cantilever racking, and that's where undercover all of our dimension and treated lumber will be. And there's a 24-foot drive lane through the middle of it. There's just a sample picture of that. We call it on there the umbrella drive-through umbrella shed.
So this actually probably would be helpful since we're talking about it. This is the umbrella shed. We'll go back to the site plan, but you can see the two pillars with the racking on either side with a roof over it with an overhang. Those will be the foundation, but basically this will all be paved all through here. And this is the end view where there is not enclosed, but there's walls on the ends with a large opening to get to drive right through it. And that's the larger structure, the longer structure that's shown on the site plan. And I'll just go down to this is the three-sided shed. Just as it sounds, it's got three sides, racking and a roof over it. And it's accessed from one side. You can see the forklift here for storing, once again, materials. So going back to the site plan, so that's the reference to the three-sided shed, the umbrella shed, and then there's individual racking that flanks the property lines on these sides.
That's another run of cantilever racking. There's a picture of
Cantilever.
showing it in there, and it has a back on it, back wall on it. It's only accessible from the inside of the yard, obviously. I just think it's important to note, though, we have such a grade difference in this entire lot. The front is pretty much going to stay the same. There's going to be a little cut and fill. But between the building, which is at a 74 elevation, and the right eastern border of our property is like an 8-foot drop. And to drive forklifts through there, we have to have like a minimum of 1.5% grade. So we're having to build a retaining wall on the whole eastern side of the property and filling in. And then that's how we're able to then do drainage and all these other things, right? And but there is a retaining wall that's going to be 10 feet high in the southeast corner, and it gradually gets smaller as we go towards Walmart.
Yep.
Because we have to level that whole other thing. And if you go back down, just so they know, there's a ramp area there. You can point to it. We don't have a pointer. So you're going from the lower elevation up, it's like a 5% grade up into the upper level, which is all captured on the top and fenced in with security against the building. And that's why we wanted to move the handicap, because the grade between the floor elevation and right in front of the store is like 4 feet down. So we had to have a 58-foot ramp down there, which just didn't work for us. So from a topo standpoint, just sort of get an idea of the lower level in front, and you're going up into a fenced, secure upper level where we keep all of our material.
Yeah. I think anyone that's parked at Benny's realizes that, you parked on a pretty significant slope. We can't have that next to the building here, as Craig has indicated, because we need it to be flat up in this area for the forklifts and the movement of material. So there's going to be a significant fill there. And there's going to be relatively significant wall on this side. But we're, staying out of that easement. We were just going up to the property line, and I think we're a couple feet off. We're trying to keep that wall as narrow as possible because we need the space to maneuver around these racking, these racking systems. So, drainage system associated with this, we've designed some trench drains because it's so flat. We can pitch everything one against one plane, pick it up with a continuous trench drain around this structure, and then it gets piped down to the southerly portion of the site, which I'll go into in a moment. But we'll keep going up around here. The racks around the front corner on the Walmart side, or the back corner, I should say. And then the building that is gonna be, remaining in the same footprint, is going to have 2 lanes that run through, and more racking in these areas to when you go in and can park, pick up lumber, drive through, come back around, and then drive out the gate on the other side. Get rid of that.
Say again?
Could you clarify that?
Yeah.
So you're going through the building and out to the left? Or are you going back out the way you came in?
So you're coming in this way.
Yeah,
You can see the hand there. You're running through the building. And then you're gonna come back around the building this
Gotcha.
way
okay.
and out through the gate. Everything goes through.
We have a security gate
Go
down
through
there,
that one security
little
gate.
guardhouse.
Thank you.
There's a picture of just sort of a sample of a drive-through in a main warehouse. I think it's listed as main warehouse. Just to get sort of a look, it's racking on either side of those aisles. Where we keep all of our moldings and, interior trim products and all that.
Dumpster in the back, along with a lift for getting deliveries. We're still working out some of those details, but there'll be a kind of a scissor lift sort of thing to unload and load a larger tractor trailer trucks. And bringing us back to the point where I discussed in the beginning of that entrance that's going to remain locked and gated majority of the time. We are proposing some additional racking along Dunn's Corners, Bradford Road in this location here on the northwest side. The remainder of this area here, we will not encourage, nor I don't think at one point we were going to put a wall even here, but this still slopes out. I think as of late, we're looking to put generator and transformers in this side. Most of the utilities come in that location anyway. We got the water line that comes in that side, natural gas and the electrical. All the utilities are going to be coming in, continue to come in from that side of the building. So this won't be a main thoroughfare. It'll be for, employee use only and for emergency access and other utilities for the most part. So most people or the people that are coming through here, they're going to be right turn only to come back around the building and then back through the gate to exit. All of the stormwater is being collected.
Sergio.
Yes, you're good.
With regards to the traffic moving from the building's interior to the exterior, then making that right turn onto that thoroughfare, can you describe any type of traffic controls, mirrors or whatever that people might be able to use to avoid any unfortunate incidents?
We haven't proposed any yet on our plans, but it's something obviously, yes, we're going to have to put signage up. I don't know if we'll need any mirrors or anything. I don't know if you've done that before.
With arrows, right-hand arrows and a sign out on the grass that says right turn only and exit down at the end. We haven't really worked that out, but we're fully aware that we're going to have to communicate, where we're going.
We're going to need signage to tell people also the ADA spaces are beyond the gate and up and make sure that we have directional. So we'll make sure to have the appropriate wayfinding signage, paint markings, that kind of thing. If we need to put any type of mirrors up, but I don't think there's going to be people coming in from the other side on, where there's going to be any traffic points, but we'll speak to that with our traffic engineer and make sure when we come back for preliminary, we have that answered.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for
Appreciate
bringing it
that.
up. Appreciate it.
Usually everybody is pretty good with that, but it's always the unfortunate person or whatever that, or something else that's not supposed to
It
be
always
there.
goes the wrong way.
Get put,
To be frank, we weren't sure until I got an email from the DOT yesterday whether that whole system was going to work for us to drive through, because if you go up, Sergio, and you zoom in on the property line, it's already in the pavement that exists there. And they said, we won't allow you to put a security fence on our property. So if we were going to try to gate in and fence in our whole place for security, it would have to be on that dotted line, which is in the middle of the driveway. So we weren't even sure until we got approval to buy it, which they said we could buy in September, and they changed their mind, but I went up there and had a visit and got them to sell it. So we're just sort of working on that area out right now, but fully aware that it's going to require, some pretty clear signage and arrows.
Thank you.
So all of the stormwater from the site, we are collecting, like Craig mentioned, there's not a catch basin on the site now, but given the grade changes, we're going to have to put some catchments in, some drains. It all gets piped down to the southerly portion of the property. And given that we have to expand the parking lot out, we are going underground with that stormwater for storage and filtration. We've conducted test pits out on the site, all sandy soils, and no groundwater really in sight. So this works very well. We're going to put it underground, and then we have two separate discharges, one which goes into the state DOT system, and then one that discharges back over to the Walmart property, which we are pursuing easement on. And as I mentioned before, we are mitigating the impacts to both of those discharge locations no greater than what goes there before. And actually, we're improving the stormwater by adding in some treatment on the site by putting in the infiltration system on the property. So where right now the pavement's just running off and getting into the state system. I believe the state system ends up in a basin across the street. Bring up I believe the state, I don't know if everyone's familiar with this,
Yeah.
the pond over here.
Mhm.
I believe that's where all the state drainage from Route 1 ends up and points beyond for the state system.
Is, Sergio, is there a primary and a secondary in terms of what's flowing out of that underground basin? In terms of the elevation, or is it flowing out equally, elevation wise, or have you guys gotten that far in your design yet?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Which basin are you referring to?
The underground basin that you have.
The underground, yeah.
Yeah, is there, you said it's got, discharge out of that basin in
Yep.
two different directions. Is there a primary and a secondary coming out of that basin? Are they going out at the same elevation in terms of the inlet?
As far as
Elevation?
primary and secondary, no, they're gonna split flow based on our design for any given storm event. So
Okay.
it's not like it goes to one and then it'll overflow into the other.
I
It's
just wasn't sure
it's
it was
designed in
an elevation, if you overflow one into the other, but okay.
no, we've designed it in such a way that there's a weir system in those manholes
Mhm.
that when it hits a certain elevation, the water will disperse to each one, no greater than what had been in the previous condition.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a complicated system. When my guys were designing, I said, let's just separate them so one water goes one way and the other goes the other way. They said, no, we've put in stormwater controls so that we can control the flow in either direction.
And that's, individual chambers, the one that you have up there?
The one that we had up, hold on, I'll pull that back up. These
Wait,
are
wait,
underground infiltrator chambers,
Individual.
storm tech systems, call tech
Yep.
systems.
Yep, okay.
So stormwater management obviously was important. Make sure we don't increase the stormwater to either the Walmart property, which we will have easement over, and to the state system as in accordance with our physical alteration permit. It could be utility plan, yeah. Unfortunately, the septic system was just too deep in the ground. If we started raising all the grades around it, and it's in a location that wasn't ideal. So we are going to be relocating the septic and putting a new septic system in it as well. No increase in flow. It's basically the same employee for employee, not a large system. But we will have to put in a new system because of the elevation change. But we've thread the needle between all the drains out there. We got to make sure we had the appropriate separation to all those. But once again, adequate soils, all good sandy soils. Was a significant amount of fill when they built Benny's, I think. It was probably about 4 feet of fill. But we dug down pretty deep and found natural grade, and it's all sandy soils. As I mentioned, utilities come in from the west side, water, gas, and electric. We've started coordinating with Rhode Island Energy on that. But that's still, we still have to get our calculations done with the load from the building. And then we'll move into that phase. We are planning for it just doesn't show up on this plan, but we've been advancing plans to plan for a transformer and a generator on that side of the building, with the appropriate bollard protection. The water, we've submitted to the water department, regarding the needed fire flow and domestic flows for the, for the building, for the proposed use. Max Pizzato, I believe, sent that out to the consulting engineer for the town, and we're waiting on a proposal back on that, so we can execute and determine if there's adequate fire and domestic flow and pressure with the current water system that's in place now, because we plan on tying that right back into the building. Not a huge chain going from a retail space to what the proposed use is. So we're optimistic that that's gonna, this is a good fit, and the water usage will be similar and the same, and they can add, and they will be able to accommodate it. There's no wetlands around the site. We're not in any coastal area management. We will have to file for a Rhode Island State RIPD's permit, or Rhode Island Pollution Discharge Elimination System, the general stormwater permit, because we're over an acre of disturbance. We are getting ready to submit those very soon, because we want to be back here as early as April to come back and seek preliminary approval from this board. We will be filing also for state DOT permits, physical alteration permit through the state DOT. As I mentioned, we had those meetings early on to kind of, no pun intended, to pave the way for this development and make sure that what we were proposing, and we got good commentary from them when we went to that meeting, and making sure that we could tweak things with our traffic engineer, especially with the curb cuts and the drainage, to make sure that hopefully that'll go through smoothly. That, I think that pre-application meeting was important to kind of flesh out some of these things that need to be addressed before we got too far along with our design. We also need we'll be pursuing a DEM approval for the new septic system as well. We are in an aquifer protection area, I believe, or a wellhead protection area. So once again, stormwater is an important aspect of the site design, but we've mitigated those impacts, we believe, and we're going to be handling both water quality and quantity from the site to make sure that that resource is protected adequately. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything, Craig, but I was going to, if there's anything else with the site you'd like me to touch upon, otherwise I'll have Rebecca.
Covered everything. Does anybody have any questions on any of that?
I have a few. With regards to emergency vehicle access, where would they be accessing the site?
Well, there's a back gate on the northwest corner that would have a Knox box on it. And, with a key, or, they just cut the chain. And then they would also access the whole front area is open to Route 1. And then there's a gate at the top end of the ramp into the upper yard which would have a Knox box or a chain to be cut.
So they would not be accessing through the curb cuts and openings on Bradford Road?
Well, they could.
The lower ones.
Just either that
Access anywhere.
one, and then
Well, the only reason that I asked this question is dimensionally, that's exclusive right now.
I'm not sure I
There's
understand.
NFPA standards require 20 feet for an unobstructed access for an emergency vehicle.
Are you talking
you're
about
fine.
the right in, right out?
Yeah.
That has a mountable curb, so a fire truck will be able to get over that, no
Okay.
problem. And actually, there's going to be also a mountable curb on I think I might have glossed over that. There's a mountable curb also on Route 1 as well. We're going to use a piece of granite on its side that is flat it's flush at one end, and then it comes up. So it'll hopefully inhibit passenger cars from driving over it. But if need be, larger vehicles can just drive right over
How
it.
far past that opening would those be?
How far past which opening? I'm sorry.
In other words, where you're using that rebated curb?
Yeah.
how far would that extend past the intended opening?
Past the intent. So maybe if I zoom in on
So
it.
normally, if you had a 15-foot opening, just for purposes of discussion,
Oh, okay.
how much further? Is it 18 inches, 2 feet on either side?
Well, they can drive over the whole thing. Is that, if that answers your question, because it's mountable. There'll be a 6-inch curb, but they could mount it. And basically this whole thing is open to them if they ever needed to access in or out, unless there's a vehicle there. Same thing will go for the other side, even though this is, let's move this over, even though this is right in, right out, this entire island is mountable. If an emergency vehicle needs to come in, they're just gonna drive over the whole thing.
Okay.
Similar to the ones that are at
There's,
the CVS.
I think that you mean at Westerly Crossing?
Westerly Crossing.
Yeah, I think
On
I
either
could,
side,
I
they
could,
have
I was actually looking at those the other day. I think they're the same thing.
Yeah.
Typically, there's a standard for that. That's 2 feet on either side.
As far as the width of the curb?
No,
Oh,
the rebated or mountable portions of the curb past the curb cut. So you have your nominal distance, it's 15 feet or whatever, so you would actually have 15 plus 2 on one side, plus 2 on the other for people that make the tight turns, but it's really to facilitate emergency vehicles. So,
Well, that's something we should talk to Paul about.
yeah, we'll speak to our traffic engineer, but we'll have a meeting with Fire Chief, Duns Corners Fire Department, I'm assuming here with Jim Mobile, the fire marshal. We'll make sure that he's been able to review and we have adequate passage for any emergency vehicles. So yes, thank you.
with regards, thank you for your answers. With regards to the separate sheds that are outside, they'll be holding timber and all kinds of other things. We've had some interesting situations that have happened through the years in places that have a lot of wood stored. Is it the intention to have these protected by a dry or pre-action system? Or are they just going to be an?
Fire suppression?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You're using lift trucks? How are they fueled?
Forklifts?
Yes.
Yes.
How are they fueled?
Propane.
Propane?
Mhm.
And where would the propane fuel be stored?
Haven't made accommodations for that yet.
Okay. Fair
They're
enough.
just small little tanks, right?
But it's the number
I
of those
understand.
tanks. Once you reach a certain amount, they have to be removed a certain amount of feet from the building and treated as an explosive storage.
Understood. Thank you. Okay. We'll make sure to accommodate when we come into preliminary, have an answer for you on that one.
Thank you.
Those have questions? Sorry, okay.
I have a question on the grade. Is the building that's there now, is it just on like a mound and it goes down on both sides, basically?
It's pretty high, it's mounded up from the south through the front parking lot and from east to west to the elevation. It's high. The highest point on the property, I believe, is northwest corner.
Correct. Yep.
And then it just sort of slopes down south and southeast from that back northwest corner.
So Duns Corners Bradford Road, obviously it comes up. And when this site was built, it appears that it was mounded up when Walmart was built and then just the grade just drops off. Now,
Benny's.
excuse me, when Benny's was built. Thank you, Craig. So on the grade catches up as you get more north. This is the existing conditions survey. I did not perform this survey for the record. This was done by Garofalo Associates for the Carpionata Group that owned it prior to Rings End. Now you can see the grade catches up in this area and it's more gradual around this side. And then right as you get to the front of the building, and I think everyone who has driven by there's some steep slopes that get down once you get towards the intersection. And there's these paved sluiceways, I call them. There's just these paved like ramps. It's where the drainage runs into the road. I've never really seen this in the rainstorm or paid attention to it, but this water just comes, I'm assuming, screaming down here and into the road. We're going to alleviate that condition. I think it was a bit of an interesting drainage.
Came out that road cut, so we're getting rid of all that.
Yeah.
Water south.
Taking the water down this way. But you can see by these gradient lines, There's a significant grade chain that comes off from the Benny's building down to the remaining portions of lot until you get to the Walmart site and back to Route 1. So it's the nature of the site, yes.
Did you have a specific question related?
Yeah, where you said that you're putting a retaining wall
Yep.
be a high retaining wall, at what point in the property would that be? And what is the current grade in that area? And what will the grade be up to?
Well, the grade of the actual store itself, the slab is a 74.2.
74.2, yes.
Okay, so you go a little south.
Yep.
So if you go into the southeast corner of the three-sided shed,
Mhm.
that's the biggest grade difference on the entire property
Okay.
between that and the 74, which I think is a 65.
It's 65 there.
65. Okay.
And this is a 73.6. So
Our proposed top of wall, which is a retaining wall to capture all of our fill behind it, is a 75. So that's a 10-foot wall out of ground there. But as it goes north, it diminishes because the grade
Yep.
goes uphill.
So you're going from 65 to 75.
Well, our finished
In that
grade over in
an
that corner
area.
will be a 74, the same as the store. Because, you know, when we have material on forklifts and we're loading into racks, it has to be very
Yeah.
level, right? So in that corner is the highest part of the wall.
And then there'll be a fence, I guess, on top.
What our intention now is to like speak to Walmart because we have that as an easement and maybe we can berm it up and soften the height of the wall with some plantings. And, you know, we have like a 15-foot easement there. Can we berm it up and restore it into grass and a berm and put some lower evergreen? We don't want to put like green giants there or anything that's going to grow too high, but something that sort of softens that wall there. And then what we would do is put our security fencing would be drilled into the top of that wall. You know,
and a guardrail along there as well.
there's just a small section on the eastern border where we'd have to put a guardrail that's not captured by racking or the building. And our security fence would go all the way around, you know, the north side of the property and then down the east side and back into the building.
So basically, if you aren't able to put a berm, there'll be a 10-foot wall there from the parking, from that auxiliary parking from the Walmart. That's where
It'll be facing the Walmart parking lot, yeah.
That's where you'll see the wall. Okay, that's it. That's my only question. Thank you.
So you're increasing the impervious surface about 4.7% from its existing. What accounts for that?
What do you mean what accounts for? I don't know if it,
What's with
You have that drawn.
why the greater number of?
why the increase?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, do you have that drawing where you actually, that was from, Eric did that drawing.
So the increase is about 6,000, a little over 6,000 square feet of impervious. But basically it's coming from pushing out the pavement to the front. This whole area was grass before. Let me see if I can pull up the.
And so I'm assuming as we talk through this, and you've already spoken at length about the Walmart property.
Yeah.
Is the viability of the drainage and the 25-year plan entirely dependent on getting the easement to that Walmart property?
We're not increasing any stormwater from our site. Let's put it that way. So do I need an easement from Walmart? Probably not, because I'm not increasing the water that's going there today. But in an abundance of caution and when working with our neighbor, we wanted to have some reliability so we don't get into any type of legal battle that you're not supposed to put water on our property. But what the good news is that they've recognized, and we have email correspondence, and they've said, yes, we agree. Water has been going here for a number of years. And that's, I think, the purpose of what that drainage basin was. I mean, we could probably just send all the water there. And to be honest with you, I don't think I've seen that basin fill up in all the years that I've lived in Westerly. Even in the heaviest rainstorms, maybe it's got a little bit of water and it goes away right away. That I can tell you, the soils around this area, very permeable. And given I've studied the Walmart plans, they have just large perforated pipes that put water right back into the ground. And I've never seen Walmart parking lot flooded at all. So I think with regards to stormwater, you can't say this for a lot of sites. We're usually working in more non-conducive conditions, and we got to figure out how to make it work. We got a really good site here that is going to be able to put that water right back into the ground once it's treated. So I think to answer your question, that part of the site plan is relatively important, especially considering the increase in the impervious area, because we have really this big permeable area adjacent to us that is not part of the property, but we have rights and benefits. We're going to obtain those rights and benefits of such. So I think that also if we do need a variance, which I believe we do for the impervious area increase, this more than justifies the amount of pervious surface that we have benefit of, hopefully through the executed easement.
Not included in our calculations because it's not our property.
Right.
We would be giving up the current parking easement that we have now with Walmart that's paved.
Okay.
Now that goes to their impervious.
Sure.
Not ours,
Yeah.
but it's our easement that we're gonna make impervious. You know, we didn't factor that into our calculation.
We're gonna make pervious.
Be correct,
Yeah.
but there is in that area, you know,
Yeah.
that 15-foot by 300-foot strips now gonna become impervious.
Pervious.
Pervious.
Will become pervious. Yeah.
Nice.
What's parking now, which we have rights to over easement,
Right.
that is getting pulled back and that will become grass. And hopefully to soften that wall, we'll do some creative grading and some landscaping in there once we can get Walmart to sign off on it. But Craig's got to work his magic again, like he did at DOT.
And then just one other question in terms of, I know you just got the traffic study in, you said.
Yep.
Does it contemplate not only the entrance of emergency trucks into the property, but how it may change emergency trucks leaving the Dunn's Quarter Fire Station going towards Bradford?
I don't know the answer to that. Craig, I know you said you read through the
Well,
report.
it's 78 pages and we just got it yesterday.
Yeah.
But,
It could be a question for another time. And I'll-
Yeah, no, but we'll make note of it and make sure our traffic engineer addresses such. But just to be clear, you're concerned of what the traffic patterns for the emergency vehicles could be from the firehouse,
Firehouse itself.
given this new development.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, I prompted another question. Go ahead, Jeff.
So Sergio, you were mentioning about water shedding on the Dunn's Corner side of the property into the road.
On the Dunn's Corners Bradford roadside, is that what you're saying? Yes, yep,
And so
currently,
yes.
And so your plan is to, catch basins on that side of the property with hard piping underground to the Route 1 drainage or into the Walmart easement?
It's a combination of both, but the site is really bifurcated kind of on an angle here. I don't have the figure with me, but if you were to take a diagonal and run it through this site, basically the northeast triangle goes to the Walmart side. The remaining southeast triangle really goes out into Route 1. But we don't catch it and pipe it in. It's not caught in a catch basin and piped in right now. So largely, we're going to be catching a lot of that water, piping it into our system, and then sending it in either direction. No greater than it had been under existing conditions.
I believe what his concern is, and because we just had this conversation in our pre-meetings where we indicate, and I forget what the term is, and I can't see that far, but we were going to put in swales there, right?
Right now, we were going to reutilize maybe the leak offs, but we discussed putting in catch basins and piping it in.
Our current thought process is not on this plan, is along that curb cut in that drive there on Bradford, our
Right.
inside curb cut
Right.
is to put catch basins there and pipe it all the way down into the southwestern corner of the
On Route
property.
1, okay, that's what I thought you said.
Without,
That's where you're going to.
and capture before it goes out our new proposed curb cut off of Bradford.
Right, yeah, okay. Great.
And, we're gonna fill in the existing curb cut and those sluices that are in there currently.
You were mentioning those sluices with a lot of water shedding off of those.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah,
It's pretty steep over there. So we just talked about today, like revising this plan and putting some catch basins in along that curb.
okay.
Yeah, we can put some catchments in. That's largely what we're doing with the remainder of the site as well.
You're
It's
gonna have that.
funky over there because the grade out on the curb where the grass is higher than the actual building
Mhm.
slab. So, there's gonna have to be a little bit of grading over there. So we have to revisit that.
So at your next meeting, when you come back in April, you're gonna have that design all in place?
Yes.
Yeah, because we're going to be submitting to DEM very soon, and we have to have that all worked out. Thank you.
Yeah, one last quick question. This is kind of like a legacy building, right? It was originally built as a car dealership, and then it was a microfilm processing place, and then it went to Benny's, and now here we are. So looking on your drawings with respects to grade shown, what is the finished floor elevation? Where
the-
your drawings show elevation as 0, at finished floor, but I don't have an appreciation for that as to where it is with the rest of the
74.
invert Ls on the rest of the property.
I believe it's 74.2.
74.2 nominal.
That's the finished floor of the building. Yep.
Existing, correct.
And I believe we're going to be matching that with the proposed floor. But yes, you're right. The architecturals don't match up with the site plan. 0, I believe, would be 74.2.
Okay. All right, thank you.
If there aren't any more questions, we can go, Rebecca can go through the landscape plan. I don't think it'll take too long, to run
We got a
through.
couple more here. real
Oh, I'm sorry, you had some more questions? Go right ahead.
Hello there.
That's all right.
Yeah, we start this way, we come here and.
That's what happens when you're the only thing on the agenda.
We try to catch you guys coming and going, so it doesn't matter. I was, initially, when I was, saw your initial plans on this, I was concerned on negative effect on the aesthetics of the area, and that was taken care of by your explanation today of how the layout is and how the materials are going to be stored. Two things. Number one is, you mentioned, parking spots. How many parking spots are going to be on the property?
Just gotta look it up real quick here. So we've provided 58 parking spots for the site.
Okay, and is there any minimum number you have to meet?
52.
52. Okay. The second question is, I was trying to follow along on the truck entries onto the property. And if you could just go real briefly through, I just want to make sure there weren't any, you're not creating any traffic bottlenecks with the trucks in and out of the property. And I just wanted to see the flow.
You're referring to delivery trucks?
Yes.
So what we anticipate, and we'll have an exhibit for this when we submit for preliminary, but the trucks will come in this direction, come across, and then up through the gate. They'll drive up along here, and forklifts can load or unload, but I believe they're going to be pulling up into this area here, or pulling around the building and backing up into this area here, where they can be loaded and unloaded in this area in the back.
And what was the, on the left-hand bottom corner? That was a new curb cut?
Correct.
This down here?
Yes.
Yes, that's a new introduction of a new curb cut, right in, right only, turning, with the exception of if there's a larger vehicle emergency or otherwise, there's a mountable curb here is what we were discussing. This curb cut in the middle is being closed, and the one up in the north west corner shall remain, but is not a main entrance. It'll be locked and gated most of the time.
All right, so if trucks are going into that entry, right? Is that
Into-
going to create,
Off of Bradford.
This one
yeah,
here,
go off Bradford Road.
The goal would be for them not to. It would be to use the Route 1 exclusively, of course.
Okay,
Am I going to say it's going to happen occasionally with the first time? Typically, like, we don't get a lot of tractor trailers. We do we'll be able to do a lot of shuttling and smaller trucks between, supplying out of our Niantic yard and stuff. you know, we will get occasional tractor trailers. Most of our stuff is smaller box trucks. And certainly the stuff going to the loading dock is typically a smaller truck, like a Benmore's is like a half.
Hmm.
But we will get flatbeds in there with lumber that will unload in the upper yard. I think as they learn, maybe one guy might do that once, but it's typically the same driver and they're gonna learn that, you know, they've got to go in that direction. You know, our goal is not to have anybody, no tractor trailers using the Bradford. I
Okay,
think it'll be clear to them, they, you know, they've got to go in the big main entrance. One of the reasons why we're trying to open all that up to make that pretty clear.
yeah, because that's a very busy corner, as you know. And
Oh, yeah.
traffic's in and out and all over the
Yeah.
place, so,
We don't-
and my,
no.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We might get 2 or 3 of those every couple of days, you know, and typically they're arriving at 2 or 3 in the morning sometimes, and they're, you know, parking in our front lot. They're not, you know, they're not coming in the middle of the day. Those guys come and they're in and out by 7:30.
Okay. And the last question is on, you mentioned a striped area on Route 1 going north. Is that just for trucks to make the left onto the property through the gate? Or is that,
Are you talking about out on Route 1?
Yeah,
as they're
on
going-
1,
as they're
right.
going east?
Yep,
Well, currently you'll see where it's painted.
right,
And for some reason, I think it was 2008, all of a sudden that got painted. And then, you know, when we're up there looking around, we're like, well, if somebody wants to go left into the entrance, you
Mhm.
know, how do we resolve that? And in all of our meetings with the DOT, they agreed that they could bring that back and create another lane in there. We have to just restrike that area.
okay, and
So
that's,
it's clear you could take a left into there.
so that's basically just for turning. That's not for putting a truck, leaving a truck in that spot on the road.
No.
Okay, okay.
No.
Great.
Oh, you mean like
In other words,
leaving it?
yeah, in other words, you're
No,
not gonna
no,
pull a truck and hang it out there. Okay, okay,
No, we'll make sure there's dedicated, you know, the appropriate signage, striping, that kind of stuff, on the plan, when we bring it in for preliminary. The DOT is going to be very thorough, I'm assuming, in their review of it. It'll be, you know, accordance to what they approve.
okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One question. Delivery trucks coming in for, what's that?
Great pre-app, guys. This is good. It's, you guys have been, really proactive in a lot of, potential issues that we faced as far as acquisitions and easements. Couple of comments. I think it would be good to see, to push hard for those plantings along that wall. That wall, as people are coming south down Route 1, you know, we don't want it to look like the Great Wall of Westerly there. I think it would be nice to soften that however we can. And then as far as the easements go, I assume, I'm kind of new to this, but I assume our solicitor would look through or they would do that. So we don't have any, that's not our lane at all. Okay, fair enough. That's all. Looks great. I'm thrilled the site's going to be developed on a personal note. Wait.
Can I go?
Who's next?
We all get along. First of all, thank you for
We're
investing.
just following the red thing on the mic.
Good idea. Thank you for investing in the community. It's much appreciated. It's interesting, project and good for the area. Question with regard to the long shed that you have. What's the traffic flow through that? I mean, do they come in and immediately go to the right and then go through, or do they go all the way to the back and then come back toward the front? How does that work?
Well, typically, in this particular situation, because of the way it's set up on the property, we would have to communicate by probably arrows and striping that it might be one way from the south going north.
Yeah.
And, you know, typically what happens is they'll stop there with a pickup truck and load material and then they're.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of a truck, you know, pickup truck and a trailer behind it as to what's going to be the easiest to negotiate there. So whatever, you know, if you can clarify that and
Yeah.
when we come back, that would be my comment.
Well, I mean, we do have a site plan somewhere. But we did have directional arrows.
Yeah.
That we would be paving there. But typically that, in this case, I would believe they would be going from south to north and then just turning and going straight out the gate.
Okay, okay. The next question I have, it's kind of for us, I think it's an internal question, is signage. Now, I know we made recommendations for Route 1. It's for the planner. So we made recommendations to Route 1 for the council. It hasn't fully been implemented, but they seem like they were good best practices. Have they been communicated to the applicant?
So we had two pre-application technical review meetings with Craig and all of his team. And I would say they were we had building, zoning, and the full planning team. Even Diego was there
Mhm.
with his design background. And I would say they were very accommodating and were even proactive. I believe it was Craig went into that meeting and he said, we researched and we saw you had this Route 1 corridor plan, and we talked about the status, but
Good.
that hasn't been approved yet by town council. So
Right.
it's not enforceable yet, but we believe they're best
But
practices and they're,
We
yeah,
communicated.
yeah, and
Okay,
it'll be
great.
something that'll be discussed at
Great.
preliminary.
That did come up, like our first meeting was with Aiden and Nancy back in April, because we just want to come in and say hi and have some preliminary stuff. We may have had basic elevations done at that time in the site plan, but that's when I first became aware of the Route 1 corridor plan, and I've read through all of the different versions of it as they come out. And I did read your redlined, recommendations of your meeting on November 4th. And in the sub-corridor 4, which are interesting because there were some changes that are applicable to what we're doing. And I don't know whether they're implemented or not, or they've been adopted. But we're trying to pay attention to that from an architectural standpoint, from a long-term signage standpoint.
Right.
And
Yeah.
pick up on some of the things that we're trying to accomplish in the corridor.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure we were communicating effectively, even though it's not enforceable. This is the direction we believe we're going in.
Got it right here. We read them yesterday. But yes, all
the-
along, we've been, aware of that, waiting for it to be adopted.
The last thing is, you are in the aquifer, as was pointed out earlier, you are in the aquifer overlay district as well as the wellhead protection zone, right? When it comes to any sort of hazardous waste, any of that material, but you're gonna be a lumberyard, so my question is, would you have anything? You're not gonna be storing paints and solvents and those sort of things, which are any great excess, other than small containers like in a consumer.
Think about a retail paint store with the solvents that they would have in the cans that they have. We're not storing drums of anything. We sell paint and we sell paint thinner or, those type of products.
Small containers.
Yeah, but we're not
So, and you would have,
storing them and using them, we're selling them.
and as planning for operation, you're just gonna have to, we would hope that you would have, well, we'd want you to have just good policies and procedures in place
Oh, 100%.
for dealing with cleanups. That's all.
We
Great.
have all that internal
Yeah.
stuff from a safety.
Because you've got your employees to think of too.
Yeah.
You have to have a safe.
We have a rag policy, like in a bin, we have special containers for all that stuff that are metal and fireproof and everything. So we do take care of all that.
Anyway, good project. Go with God with regard to all these easements. I've never seen, in my little time here, but I've never seen.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Easements on
It's a lot.
property. So best of luck.
Thank you.
Hi, very well prepared set of plans. You mentioned one thing with regards to deliveries. So you're using straight trucks, box trucks, Moffetts?
I'm not going to suggest that there's a Moffett that's a reside here, probably one, possibly, yeah.
All right, so when a truck comes in at about 2 o'clock or whatever in the morning, he just waits in the queue for the facility to open and then he rolls in and gets unloaded and he's gone by 7:30 or so in the morning, or he gets unloaded at night?
I can't speak to the schedule here, but other yards, we have people in at 5:30, 6 o'clock and they're unloading trucks and they're out.
You might want to check some of the prevailing ordinances on that because other places have run into trouble with the burning the midnight oil doing unloading.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see after all this good effort, somebody run foul of that.
Well, we'll tell them to park in the Walmart lot, right? It's like, I think they come and they go. I'm not sure where they're gonna spend the night, but I think we have two lumber yards in residential areas where they're not allowed to come there before 7 in the morning. Then that may make sense here. For sure.
I don't think it's a problem with them arriving and just being parked overnight, but as far as unloading activity,
We don't want that. We don't want to disturb anybody for sure,
Mhm.
so
Walmart did run into that.
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah, and they weren't too big to resist it either. So
Right.
just food for thought. Thank you.
So I just have a couple quick things before you get on to landscaping, because I know that's something I wanted to certainly talk through with you guys. 4% is not a lot. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a big site. So anything you guys can do as you're looking at this to try to make up that 4% as you're looking through your final plans, certainly see what efforts you can make to try to make that up, because it's certainly something we're trying to do in the town to try to alleviate it whenever we can. To your point, this is a sandy area. Infiltration is pretty straightforward here, but any efforts we can make. I know that front area we were showing the trucks coming in, we've got a nice square boxed area. Does it necessarily have to remain a square boxed area? Could you curve that out? And
Sure.
maybe,
But it's not our property. That's the problem.
oh, right. Oh, that's right. That doesn't even count for you guys. So even if you curve it out, it doesn't save you anything.
No.
So, yeah,
Doesn't, but
I know.
if it helps us to, in a variance situation.
I
we'll-
got it.
we-
Yeah,
we'll
I
consider
understand.
it.
Yeah, it's-
So, don't forget the parking easement going away, which is
Right.
paved now.
I understand, but
we would
also
love-
doesn't
we would-
save you because
we
it's
would
in
love to
your,
Make that really nice, but it's not
yeah,
ours.
it's not your property. I got it. And the same thing with the easement. It's not your property. That
Right.
doesn't help your calculations. I
Yeah.
get it. But yeah, anything you can do to try to alleviate that would be great. Because it is a small amount, and if we can do that, that would be good. I would fully recommend, if you can get, to James's point, push very hard on the sloping down on the backside of that retaining wall. Not just for the aesthetic reasons, but just for the structural reasons. You guys are going to be moving equipment, forklifts, trucks over a prolonged period of time
Mhm.
against a retaining wall. And I'm an engineer. I love retaining walls, but I'm going to be a realist. They have a life. And, anytime I can build a retaining wall that has a surcharge on both sides of it, I'm much happier than one that's got a face on it, because I don't have to worry about it failing as much. So if you can do that, then, your life becomes easier, your maintenance becomes easier, it becomes a much, I'll use the pun, a lighter lift for you down the line, to maintain it. So,
Let me just speak to that for just a second. Once all the language and the easement for the drainage is resolved,
Mhm.
I didn't want to do this until that happened. But I will try to approach Walmart to purchase we would like to purchase that easement that's out on Route 1,
okay,
our entry easement and the parking easement.
okay.
Because then we can use the parking easement. We're gonna ask permission even if they won't sell it to us, but then to berm up that wall a little bit more, because we would own that whole strip on the east side of the wall.
Yep.
But I didn't want to muddy the waters with them because it's so hard, and we went through 10 different people. They would change jobs and,
Sure, understood.
so once we get the drainage easement resolved,
And,
I'm
no, I
gonna
understand.
approach them with that.
And then the last question I had, relative to the drainage, I know in the past, going through to get my tires fixed at that Benny's, and being on that little tiny access road to go in to get my tires fixed in the rain. Those little sluices you were talking about used to be from, the roof leaders on that side.
Yeah,
Used to come out, and there was no straight pipes coming off the roof. So there was just a hole from the,
right out of the gutter.
out of the gutter, and it fell straight down, hit the pavement, and then ran out that sluice. So what are you guys doing for the roof leaders off the building? Because I
They're
don't
all
know,
going
I don't know if they've ever been fixed.
We'll tie them all in and,
Tie them all in?
yeah, tie it underground, yeah.
Even in the outbuildings.
All right. I just remember sitting there and having to roll my window up, and as it was splashing water on the side of my car while I was waiting to pull in.
Well, particularly up in the upper yard where you have a lot of people walking around, sheet flow ice is not our friend.
Yes.
So we want to take all the waters, off the roofs, and they're all going to go underground into that catch basin or
Mhm.
into the trench drain around the big building, and then everything else is going to be piped underground.
Oh, is that your? Okay. Exactly. All right. All right. Other than that, I mean, I think this looks great. I look forward to this coming back to us, at, the,
Great, thank you.
next stage. So I'll let you guys go on to landscaping because I know there's a lot of questions with landscaping, as there always is.
You can take Craig's seat.
All right, good evening. Rebecca Nolan. I'm a landscape architect, licensed in Rhode Island. Thank you for hanging in there while we walk through all the existing conditions and the proposed conditions. This building, I think we talked about it, but building around 1970, that's basically when the landscaping went in over there as well. Everything that's around the building is pretty much past its life, and much of it is actually now on the invasive species list in Rhode Island. So there's a lot of burning bush, barberry, things that we, absolutely shouldn't have planted anymore. That area up in front, is all very much, past its lifespan. There are 3 trees on the Dunn's Corner side. So, and they are planted on that very steep hill that we were just talking about where the sluiceways are. So we're very much hoping those trees can remain. Again, they are, towards the end of their lifespan, but given that steep slope and the fact they've kind of been set back and protected over the years, I feel pretty confident that with some selective trimming, those could be saved. So those are 3 of the honey locust trees. That's really the majority of the plant material on the site that is worth saving. There's really nothing out front. We talked about it's a pretty wide swath of lawn. I did want to talk a little bit about the Route 1 corridor study. I understand it hasn't, passed through town council yet. It's definitely, got some more oversight to go. But more than just the study itself, this section of the study was cordoned off as sub-quarter number 4, which was really about office and mixed use. And in the quarter study, it very much says that this is an auto-dependent area. So we know that these areas, and specifically in this sub-quarter, are mainly used by automobiles coming and going. That's why I think we worked pretty hard with Craig to understand how both the people coming to the building as well as people that work there would be using the site. That's why, again, there's kind of these larger turning radiuses, accommodating those trailer parking spaces. I think if anybody's been to Riverhead, you kind of know how tight some of those spaces are. People often do park on Oak Street, they pull up on the side. So we're really trying to accommodate all of that on the site here, which is why, we have some of those spaces up in the upper right corner and then the bottom left corner near Dunn's Corner Road. So, all of that is just to say that this area was kind of identified in that plan as being the most auto-dependent spot. There's other areas of the Route 1 corridor that are quite different in their character. This is not that area. This area is very much about the mixed use, retail oriented, parking in front of the buildings. That said, I think, the same regulations kind of apply. We still want to put the perimeter buffer along the parking area, which is what we're showing there. We still want to add street trees where we can. One of the things to note here is that if you look at where Route 1 is, there's actually not much of the DOT right-of-way left. So, they've really used the majority of the right-of-way for the turning radius or turning lanes. They've accommodated a sidewalk there, but most of that green space that was in front there is part of this parcel. And I say that because, you know, while it's like a pretty auto dependent, you know, there's going to be people coming in fast at different intersections turning. It's going to get a ton of salt. It's going to get a ton of, you know, just wind from, you know, off of Musquamaket. So it is still kind of a, you know, it's out there in the middle of kind of this intersection. So benefit of the way this is laid out is we can actually pull most of the landscaping away from Route 1. I think the guidance is that, you know, DOT doesn't like to see a tree within 20 feet of the roadway. In a lot of places, we're really constrained and we have to, you know, limb up those trees, put them at, you know, 6 foot high to make sure that you can see around them. In this case, we actually have room to back everything up towards the parking lot. So that's why kind of the street trees are pulled back. You have the perimeter buffer. Anything that we're proposing, we want to propose inside of the property line. The existing trees are actually all on Dunn's Corner Road. They're on the right of way there. But anything that we're putting in here, we're proposing to put in the inside the property line. There's also, you know, the islands I believe it's every 10 spaces. We have the island in the middle, the planted island, and then that's other than around the building, that is really the extent of the landscaping here. I think, you know, it's more aesthetics would be right around that sales office. You can see that from the renderings. So anything with like perennials color is going to be right up near the building. Anything out by the road has to, like I said, be salt tolerant, has to do well without irrigation. I don't think there's any intent to provide irrigation out here. No, there's not any out there now. So, you know, kind of minimal, very hardy plant material, things that are native that are going to do well once established. I believe that was all the kind of things that I wanted to highlight on here. You know, we do have to take some trees out, as I mentioned. So those are mainly up further on Dunn's Corner Road, but replacing those trees as we can on the property itself. Also agree with all the comments here about, you know, the space behind the wall. You know, for me, a lot of it is that area back there, it doesn't necessarily get, you know, a lot of people being able to see it when they're driving down the road, but you can absolutely see it when you drive into Walmart and you look to your left across the parking areas. Because really that's kind of auxiliary parking for Walmart, not really much going on there. So I think that would be ideal. Right now, we're just calling to have it kind of cleaned up in that area. I believe that's everything, but happy to answer any questions you may have.
I only have one question.
Sure.
And it's pretty simple. So the area that the new drainage features are going in, are gonna sit, underneath the area that used to be part of that vegetated space that's there now, sort of, immediately adjacent to the area that we have. The vegetated strip that's going in, I shouldn't say going in, but being redone,
Yep.
adjacent to that now. And I get it. Everything has to be salt tolerant, everything has to be DOT compliant, for all of that area. Any consideration to, as you're looking at that, where you have your little islands that are cut back in, and if you could zoom in sort of on that center one there.
These islands here?
Yeah, as you're looking at where your tree placements are, putting any of your trees into the islands themselves, so they're further back into the site.
Yeah, we could, I think that that's definitely, a reasonable question. I think one of the reasons that we're kind of showing them out there is because
Is that, I wasn't sure if that's too far into your drainage system or not. I wasn't, without them overlaid on top of one, I wasn't 100% sure.
yeah, I don't, it's so much the drainage, actually. It was really, the idea of adding street trees is really like more of like the visual cues. And we do have some shrubs that are going in those islands. So it was, I think that it's something that we could consider if we pull it in a little bit more. A lot of times one of the challenges that DOT still maintains a lot of the right of way. And so, kind of during our conversations with DOT, I think, the boundary between where the property line is and where the DOT, line is, sometimes that gets, vague. So this,
I only ask because I'm noticing this particular winter, looking at some of the properties that I've been dealing with, where the DOT plows have taken out quite a number of street trees.
yes.
And in the back of my head now, I'm more cognizant of, geez, I wish I'd have put that tree 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet further back into the
Yeah.
site.
Yep. No,
Um,
I think,
So normally I would not think of it. This winter has made me think of these things.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think, a lot of it is, where these are, because there's, we want them to have the space to grow.
Sure.
And so they're kind of in the larger area there, but, I don't think it changes,
Okay.
so I think it, in some ways it could define, the edge of the road a little bit better. So we could definitely look at that. There is a sidewalk out there, so I hope that the plows are careful when they're plowing in there, but again, it's more to like create the visual cue of like, okay, you're
Sure.
coming to an intersection, it's like slow down, you're kind of coming to a gateway element. You're turning onto a road that's now, not 5 lanes across, so.
Understood.
Go ahead. So, in front of the store, right now, there are those low slung bushes that are just dead and whatever. But when I look at this drawing, it looks like you've taken some of that and gotten rid of, made it small, because they're really large today.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So the front of that building, we could
You want to look
go,
at the renderings?
we could go back to the rendering, but there is a deck there that will be part of the showroom. And the showroom actually extends into that space
comes.
where where those junipers are now. So, in that existing kind of conditions, you see like a sea of the junipers. Part of that will become the deck and the facade of the showroom coming out.
So the goal is to make that building look like that, approximately.
Yes,
That's
so
that's our intent.
Quite an upgrade, quite an upgrade. Okay.
Going from, yeah. This.
Okay, yeah.
yeah, so you can see it where it bumps out a little bit all the way to the
That's the bump
Well,
that's there.
I'm gonna say you definitely took the Route 1 corridor study to heart then, if that's
Yeah,
what
really.
you're going for. Because,
Because I think we're ready.
all right, we definitely took it to heart.
Go to the other,
The other renderings. This one here?
yeah, so
Yeah.
that.
So these are more,
that's a display, a deck display that we want to display, the railing will be consistent, so it's not a hodgepodge, but the decking itself. And you're walking right out of the showroom, onto that.
so these are more perennial beds that are in front.
Yeah, that's like where we could actually put some nice things out there that are gonna get attention. We do need the wall there because if you remember that site starts to
it
really
drops.
drop. So yeah, I think the front areas where we can do something really interesting.
Yeah.
The out by the road is really to, try and kind of create the visual cue that you're on the Route 1 corridor.
It looks better than your standard evergreen, small evergreen,
Correct.
or boxwood. So anyways, very, very nice. Thank you.
Anybody else have questions on landscaping?
Nope, not much in the way of questions. Just be looking forward to, I guess, what your long-term, final design will be. And I can completely understand what you're dealing with respects to plantings close to Route 1 that are just going to get blasted by salt and whatever when the plow goes by. So
Yeah.
I'm sure your list of what's going to be viable is starting to shrink, but this
Yeah.
looks really, really good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna hand it back over to Craig if you wanna go over some details with the building or not gonna get, I mean, we've kind of, this is good. So, yeah.
What I'd like to just explain while we're looking at that is clearly a goal for us is to make this building a little bit nicer. As we got into it, unfortunately, we're not able to save a ton of it. If anybody's been in there, there's sort of that front retail area where you walked in and then their retail store at Benny's went all the way to this back warehouse building all the way in the back. And there's a steel building that's in the middle of that. That's where our drive-through warehouse is going to be. Let's go to a floor plan. I just want to have you look at it. Maybe you guys already have. Well, that's an interesting drawing. You can see the warehouse building that's there. Okay. So that's our drive-through. This is a great angle. And on the southeast corner where the Benny's angle thing was, you know, that basically that whole square of that building, it's pretty much got to come down. We're going to rebuild that whole section, type 2B construction, and have a whole new entryway and a second floor, which is accessed through that little bump out on the east side. That's a staircase, and upstairs is a lunchroom, a little meeting room, some outside sales offices. And then we're actually going to tear down. Can you go to this picture? Yeah. We're going to tear down this whole 1960s thing on the left, that 30-foot bump out, and we're going to rebuild that entire thing as it shows on these plans that we'll look at. If you want to go, can you find the actual store plan?
With the elevations or the floor?
Well, go back. You can go back to that elevation. Sorry, right there. That's sort of the front elevation, okay, that we turned into the renderings. But go to the store plan.
The floor plans?
Yeah, keep going. That one. What is that? Keep going.
Oh, I think
Keep going. Where did you skip over?
This one?
Right there.
Yep.
You guys can take a look at this because you have it, but you can see the whole front area is oriented, you know, east down, west is up. And there's the whole new entry with the block and the flowers, the deck display over there. Those horizontal lines you see up in the upper left corner room, those are all, we build walls with all of our windows and doors in them that are all finished and sided and everything. So that's a whole window and door showroom over there. And you walk right out onto a deck, and then we have a conference room for selling windows and doors in the southwest corner. And then the store and sales counter are right in the front door. And that just sort of gives you an idea of our retail area, which goes into the warehouse area. And the drive-throughs with the arrows.
Yeah, these are the two travel lanes here and here.
And then, you know, there's steel racking on either side of those lanes where we keep moldings and all kinds of different material. I just wanted you to get a feel for that.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we want to show material that we sell. Right now, our thought is, and it shows in the renderings, if you want to go back to that. And we haven't made a final decision on this, but right now we show it with, that's all wood, Alaskan yellow cedar shingles. Yeah, that's wood. And all the trim is a combination of PVC trim. And I did some of the gables in a horizontal nickel gap, some of on the bigger building or a V joint. All wood, but typically PVC trim because it just lasts a little bit longer. But, you know, right now we've spec'd it to be Alaskan yellow cedar. And we might put some type of a light bleaching stain on it or something like that. But, you know, it's a shingle market. We recognize that. We sell a lot of wood shingles, you know, so the goal outside, and that was hard to sort of figure all that out with your construction type, you know, because we want to use wood because we sell wood, but the building's too big to go full, you know, type 5B. But we're able to put wood exterior products on it. And what, right now we have all this spec with Marvin windows that we sell and you know, we would have a combination of an asphalt architectural shingle and, you know, a metal roofs on the front entry.
The height of the building and the
35 feet.
I'll call it 35 feet
Mhm.
and the widow's walk also. I call it a widow's walk, but
Oh, you mean the cupola?
the little bell tower or
The
whatever.
cupola is lower than the
Cupola,
main
okay.
building. The main building's
You
35
know what I
feet.
meant.
You want to go to the architect's elevation?
Okay, 35 feet.
Now, I noticed in the amendments, possible amendments that you guys made to subquarter 4, building height may go from 35 to 40. But that building is 35 feet to the top of the gable over the Rings End logo. On purpose.
Any other questions?
It was an interesting building to try to save as much as we could and make it work and make it look decent.
Tear it down.
This is more than lipstick on a pig.
They might invite Dells to open up a small window in there.
We asked Dallas to go away for insurance reasons, but we told him we can come back when we're organized. And that's why we have those deep parking spots over there in the corner.
In the corner for Dell?
But yes, we know the whole Dell's history.
Okay. So my kids would be very disappointed if Dell's went away.
Yeah, we were getting killed on social media, so but no, we're all about Dell's.
Well, if I could, there's any, members of the public, if there's no more questions for the board. If there's any members of the public, that are here this evening that have any questions, relative to, this pre-application, that wanted to speak, I can ask if you'd like to come up to the podium. And again, just state your name, address, and direct your questions to the board.
Good evening, Rose Van Dover, 20 Top Street, Westerly. I'm a town councilor in town, and I just want to say, I really like your presentation. I don't have any questions or complaints. I just think the building looks really nice. We definitely need an improvement for that area. You sound like you did your homework, and I'm very impressed. I really do like the idea, so thank you for coming to Westerly. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other members of the public? Okay, seeing none. Any other questions from members of the board? Gentlemen, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
You guys.
All right.
I think we're all set. We appreciate your indulgence
Thank you
and
for your time.
getting us on the agenda, Aiden, so quickly. I know you didn't have a ton of time to review this material, but I hope our presentation was complete, and we will definitely take into consideration your comments this evening. Make sure that we're ready when we come in for preliminary and address those specific things when we get back. So
All right.
thank
great.
you for your time and your attention and your comments.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you very
Sergio.
much.
Appreciate it. Thank you,
Appreciate it,
gentlemen.
guys, very much.
Okay. Our next item on the agenda this evening is our administrative officers report. You all received the February 17th version of the Town of Westerly Planning Board Future Agenda Monthly Report Matrix, and I'll turn it over to Aiden if you have any thing you want to add or anything you want to point out.
Not much here. The only thing I do want to mention is, as you all saw with this agenda, I wanted to give a quick trial run to hopefully what will be a new review system for applications that come in. So the link for this application tonight went through the OpenGov permit portal, which is now what we're using for all planning applications as mandated by the state. And I also wanted to reference this because I think it helps resolve some past questions we had on what is actually asked of an applicant beyond specific checklist items. And as you saw through the new OpenGov record, you know, you can see all the files explicitly listed there. They're time-stamped. And I think, you know, it helps keep both the planning office and the applicant in check and make sure that everything's provided on time and hopefully alleviates those future problems where, you know, in multiple meetings where we're not sure if things were provided and, you know, I or Nancy at the last minute is saying, yeah, we got that email a month ago, but now everything goes through the portal. The applicants upload their materials there and you can see that live in real time.
Yes, go ahead.
So if you had, so let's say we'll take the landscaping plan. So let's say there's an update to the landscaping plan and they submit another one. Is that the only one that will be present, or will we see two entries under the landscaping plan, the most current and the back and the previous?
In most cases, we would just ask them to replace the existing
So
landscaping.
replace,
plan.
would it just be there?
Yeah, if it's
Okay.
important to have it for a record to see the iterations of it, we would break that out, but in most cases, it just makes more sense.
But you would have it in the background, it would be stored on the, multiple iterations would be stored, but for the public to see, to avoid the confusion, for us to see, to avoid our confusion, it's just the most current as was
Correct.
submitted. Okay, great.
I just, on your question, the one thing I observed was that the revised site plan was, there's the first submission and then the revised one in this. So it appeared to me as if every iteration would appear, but I don't know if that's just an anomaly or in fact, it's gonna work the way you say it's gonna work.
Was it? Yeah.
In this case, it was, we got this application on the agenda so quickly, I did not have time to specifically break out the application materials we required. So they had just filled the template that was asked of them, and then it made them submit a site plan twice.
Today I called Aiden and we went through it, and so you're available for any of the members of the board to call and chat and walk your way through it as we get used to it, but I found it to be really good. Yeah.
And the only thing I'll mention about this is at the top of this website, there's also a search function. So if you're curious about any other address, or if you know the planning application number, you can just search that address and you can see the full permit history for that property down to building permits, zoning approvals, or former planning applications, and see what the status on that is.
One thing, Aiden, I don't know if it's possible, to put a link to the application in the agenda, so I don't have to pull up my email to do it when I'm here. That might be helpful for me. I don't know if that's possible. You guys all right? Oh, it is. It was.
Yep.
No, the,
Click on that.
Yep.
Right to the.
oh, okay. I just didn't, I didn't even click. I went into my email. Anyway, okay, great, perfect. Sorry. We got it. Great.
Perfect.
That's all for the administrative officer's report.
I will give a brief thing. I know that they did start the interview process with town planners, correct? Last week, I think they had
Yep, as far as I'm aware, they've started interviewing.
started interviewing, so they are in the process. I know the town manager reached out and let me know that they were in the process of interviewing new planners, so hopefully we'll have a new planner sometime in the near future, and Aiden won't be all by himself, running the entire planning department, all on his lonesome.
Matt, do you get involved in that at all as part of the board here?
So I was asked, by the town manager, when they, were bringing people in for interviews, if I was available to sit in on the interview just to listen in.
Right.
I just wasn't available. I was out of town.
They gave you that opportunity to do
But they did
that.
give me the opportunity, and he said
Okay.
when they do schedule folks for a second interview, that, they give me the opportunity to come in again then, so we'll see if, when that happens. Yep.
If you're not available, will you be able to send an alternate?
Yeah, I mean, I found out the night before, so it was kind of one of those, oh, we're gonna interview people tonight.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise, so,
Vice President?
yeah,
If you're not
oh, yeah,
available. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, so. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware that it is in the works, so. So that is moving forward. Anything else, Aiden?
Nope, that's it for me on that.
All right. Assistant, next thing on our agenda is, item H, Assistant Solicitor for Planning and Zoning's report.
Well, no, we'll go back.
Oh,
first.
wait, we'll go back, sorry.
Something. Not
what I asked.
Aiden specifically, but it's us.
Oh, sorry.
Annual functions and responsibilities.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
no, that's fine. CDBG annual certification is supposed to be in the formation period right now. Don't know, I asked Aiden this question today, and it's still up in the air as to what's happening with the new administration and various things, right?
It's a bit more complicated these days than years prior, but we rely on our grant administrator to prepare that package, and then that will be given to the planning board for review and possible recommendation, and then you guys hand it to town council for final acceptance and approval.
So, and for folks who aren't familiar with the process, it's CDBG Community Development Block Grants. And they're really aimed at certain sections of our town that fall into certain economic conditions. So typically it's like, I remember years back dealing with the Johnny Cake Center. It's in the north end of town, so they were eligible. They put in some requests, goes through the grant and goes through us, and, we make our recommendations and the town council makes the determination. Yeah, well, yeah, it happens in White Hill all the time. Yeah, that's how they get you statue. By the way, it's coming back from the bronze shop any day now. The one thing we're behind on is semi-annual review, not really behind, but as to this plan, semi-annual review of the outstanding items for the comp plan. So there's action items in the comp plan, stuff that the planning board's supposed to do, stuff that the town council is supposed to do, the planning department, and we kind of review them to make sure we're on track. Completing all those. So we're a little behind in that. That should have happened in January, but we didn't have an applicant. We don't have any meetings. So I think it's something we can determine if we want to tackle. It's just a matter of, and it's good practice for us for all of us to look and understand what's in the comprehensive plan. So,
Yeah, so if you're looking to see what, John's talking about, there are the tables in the comprehensive plan that set up the goals that we're supposed to do on an annual basis, on a semi-annual basis, on a short-term goal, long-term goal. Those are the items that we're talking about. And a lot of them we already accomplished this past year because we did a whole bunch of work towards the Route 1 corridor study, towards the zoning, planning and zoning amendments. So there's a whole bunch of them, but there are still some others that.
yeah, I think it's a matter of
need to
cleanup.
Cleanup, yeah.
Yeah, I think the lion's share, you're right, they've been
We
tackled.
tackled, but yeah, we
Um,
could probably go back and look and see if we didn't miss any of the other little ones.
But within the next few months, next quarter, again, this isn't a hard date, so this is just,
Reminders.
put it in work.
Yeah.
Yeah, reminders. It's a
That's
tickler
why,
file.
that's why we put it on there.
And with regard, the last thing, with regard to future agenda items, I had sent out and. Oh, we're not
Yeah,
there
it's
yet.
not, we get
Oh, sorry.
two more things and then we're gonna get there.
we've got,
Yeah, we
well,
got two future. You have a future agenda item? I have a
we
future
gotta,
agenda
I
item.
gotta leave, and
Yeah.
I know that us
All right,
is gonna
so,
take a
all
long
right.
time.
All right. So if we're done with the, that, I guess we can jump to, the Assistant Solicitor for Planning and Zoning's report. James, do you have a lot to go through tonight? Nothing to report. Okay. Now I guess we can go to item I on our agenda, which is future agenda items and board questions. And I'm going to go to James first
Oh,
because
no.
he's further to my right and I'll work my way back to me. So James, go ahead.
Which term, pal? That's
Yeah.
what it said.
Pause.
Uh, so just quickly, kind of in a similar vein to how we looked at the bus depot. And it's kind of topical with our introduction of the online portal and that. When we went through the budget, town budget, there were a number of items in there regarding redundancy, fiber optic lines, backup, that kind of thing. I would like to, and again, this is in a similar lane to the online portal. I'd like to, at some point, have, maybe if we could get Mike in here and have a conversation about what the town's doing in regards to cold storage for data, meaning data that's not online, not susceptible to cyber threats, redundancy, if we have some kind of a, I don't know, server issue, what's being backed up where, hard copy backups, if we're doing any of that kind of stuff. Often with these technological advances, and that kind of gets lost in the shuffle that this technology can fail, the data can be compromised, and I'd like to make sure that we're doing something as a town, just kind of like long-term thinking here, big picture, 30,000-foot thinking, to back it up. Again, whether it's cold storage on a server that's not connected to the internet, hard copies, I don't know, but I think it at least is worth looking at and thinking about. If we could maybe have Mike or somebody come in and talk about that at some point. We've been fairly slow, so I think it might be a good time to do that. Again, the online portal, everything's being done with the internet, which is great, but it's also good to, I think, have a backup plan, and not just for our stuff, but just for townwide.
Just so we know.
Yeah.
what happens.
To that point, and I agree, again, the planning board's job is to look at the long term and not just about properties, but just the long term prospects of the town. So I agree. The one question I have for the solicitor is there's certain items that are not that are the secure enough nature that they would happen in executive session. For example, when we would talk about the water supply, there's certain aspects of the water supply. When I first got involved in town government, we used to be able to get maps of the water supply, where the points were, then it all post 9/11, post thing, it all became, nope, it's secure. So I agree that we should probably have a long-term conversation. The question for you is to research can we have this and should it be an executive session? Because answering a question, the IT person could say something and, effectively you're tipping your hand as to what the architecture is that you're using to protect the town.
Right, so I don't know off the top of my head right now what the answer would be. You can have it, I would recommend any of those conversations be held in executive session to start. But what I can do is I can look into that and I'll report to Scott as well to see if he can have something for you at the next meeting as well. And I'll tell him to reach out to you directly too, just about to clarify the question a little more specifically, but.
That was going to be my recommendation, so thank you. Was that?
Sorry.
No, that's great, because that was going to be my recommendation, that it might be something that's more of a general question than a specific question, is do we have a plan? And, is the plan communicated to the appropriate, staff within the town? Because I think if we lay out what the town plan is.
It's not necessarily what the plan is.
Do we have a plan?
Is somebody thinking about this?
Yeah.
And are we
Prepared.
yeah, do we?
And when you're talking about backups, we're talking about disaster recovery planning. And I know from that I was responsible for down the street at the bank at one time. And the FDIC, all that stuff, it's not
Yeah,
public
no, it's not public
information.
information. And that
Yeah.
kind of was getting at, yeah. It's, do we have a plan and is the plan communicated and,
Yeah.
and the right people know about the plan?
know we do
Is the appropriate question we should be asking, not necessarily what is the plan? Because we don't need to know the plan. We just need to know the plan exists. Yeah. 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 Because now it affect, yeah. Because now it affects
Not
us.
necessarily just a plan, but like,
Yeah.
do we have this?
Do we have these things backed
Do
up?
we
Yeah.
have, do we have?
Yeah,
and it's
'cause now it
not-
affects
not
us.
Accessible online. When I say cold storage, I mean like.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Plugged
Yeah.
into the wall, no
Yep.
internet cable to it.
Understood. You got another agenda item?
I do. So, so I submitted or passed on to Matt and Aiden, an Excel spreadsheet that was used at one time for family selection and habitat. It had to do with income qualification levels. The issue is affordable housing. When we get to the issue of affordable housing, it gets so confused as to what people mean. 80% of medium income, 120%, what does all that mean? And the spreadsheet or this tool that we had built into the tool, here's the numbers from HUD, and I've updated them for the 2025 numbers, the most recent ones available. And then it breaks it down into what people would actually have available annually and monthly to pay for their rent. So now we get an idea if someone's in front of us, an applicant's in front of us, and they say, I'm talking about 80 to 120, or we're dealing with the Affordable Housing Committee that just got appointed by the town council. We're all talking off the same sheet of music. The other aspect of it to this thing is there's a loan amortization schedule, and there is a approximate cost of construction estimates, which is some information that I got from Chubb Insurance, having worked with a client on another matter of construction costs, both inland and on the shoreline. So we kind of get an idea here as to what does it really cost, to put a house together, and then, building only, and then what are the resources that people have available to really try to understand. So it's just meant to be a tool to understand. So I'm going to ask Aiden to forward that out to the rest of the committee, if that's okay.
Mhm.
And I think we should, at a future date, also have a joint meeting as we did with the EDC, have a joint meeting with the Affordable Housing Committee and get some ideas that we're all in this kind of working off the same,
Yeah, I
again,
think-
sheet of music.
Yeah, if I could make a recommendation is once they have their meeting and their setup.
They've already had one.
No, I said, sorry, once they're situated and they're consolidated and whatever.
Yeah.
Then give them an opportunity to get their, yeah, exactly. Yeah, give them an opportunity to get their feet underneath them and then invite them here. As opposed to they just had their first meeting and, oh, by the way, come report to us now. Give them a
Oh,
chance. Oh, they have, okay.
There's another regular meeting posted for them, as a matter of fact, with all the attendees already there.
All right, great. I thought it was only the first meeting.
Cool.
Excellent. All right.
But there's one other thing.
Yes.
Future agenda item. We're getting into the season now where there's all these bills that are being put in before the General Assembly. And there are 6 bills actually in the Senate right now that have been proposed to exempt Tiverton from certain components of the affordable housing laws. There's some bills in place, 6 bills in the Senate that have been proposed to exempt the town of Tiverton from certain aspects of the affordable housing law that all the other cities and towns should go at. So I think we need to kind of stay up to heel as we get information on these, but 2, as we're early in the session of the General Assembly, I think that the planning board may want to offer its opinion on some of these bills. And should Westerly have similar, or just Rhode Island cities and towns in general have similar rules on it? One of the things on there is, under the latest affordable housing law, we can only require one parking spot per apartment unit, or per studio unit
Choir,
required,
so it's minimum.
minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum. We cannot go beyond that. We can't
No,
go
no, no,
beyond,
no, it's
no,
minimum.
that's maximum for a studio. For a
It's a max for a studio, I thought is
maximum
what it said.
for a studio.
Yeah.
Tiverton's asking for two for a studio.
Mhm.
So they're asking for exemptions on it beyond, and it's really kind of brass tacks things like that, that were affordable. They're also asking for the right to have a moratorium if they're over a certain level. There's all kinds of things in this legislation, and I'll forward the legislation on to Aiden, and he can forward it on to the
Well, I'll
rest.
ask
so we
Scott
can
to
see
give
it.
us a report out on it at the next meeting.
As
Right.
I've brought up before in some of our meetings, this is where it's inherently valuable for the planning department to get a hold of the language when it's in proposed status so that we can provide input and we can also craft requests of our own. City of Hopkinton does a great job with that. As part of their regular town council meetings, their planner does a very quick presentation on here's what's coming, this is what it means, this is what it means impact-wise to Hopkinton, and these are some of the things that we should consider doing about it. It's short, sweet, to the point. But the key to that is getting copy off of Legiscan or whatever, those languages, so that we can take a look at it and see what's going on, and then ask our planning office or someone to be able to write a request or contact our local representatives or whatever, and have them put in an amendment when it's up for discussion that could help us out, because not all the communities are the same and nobody fits the cookie cutter template completely. And we should look to that.
So
I
the
think,
po-
yeah, getting a summary from Scott would be.
That's what I.
great.
Right, exactly.
That's,
So, and the point here is that I'm not suggesting that we would reach out to our representatives in that. I mean, if we want to do individually, that's one thing, as individual, folks, but we could advise the town council that they should, in some cases, send a resolution or send some feedback to the General Assembly on Westerly's position on some of these things.
Getting those kinds of things onto the agenda quickly are going to be key. Otherwise, you'll get caught in that do loop of getting bumped 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. As we've had other resolutions, and they wound up finally sending it through after the matter had been closed and the question was called and voted on up in Providence.
But what's interesting is Warwick has less affordable housing percentage-wise than the town of Westerly does, percentage-wise. And yet Warwick is exempt from certain aspects of the affordable housing law due to legislation. They're one of those communities. Don't know how.
did you just move to Rhode Island? I mean, have you not lived here your whole life? I'm not really sure how you're surprised by any of this. I'm very
We know a guy, not a problem.
All
We got, I know. it.
wondering here. All right, I have one other future agenda item, Aiden. We had a referral from the town council for a property on Atlantic Avenue that the town council has to take a look at. Aiden reached out to me to get some additional information, and Sean Lacy had shot me an email today about it. Basically to reach out to the Recreation Board to see what their plans are for the rear of that property and to see what their thoughts are. So I'll work with you, Aiden, to see what that is, and we might add something to the agenda for the next meeting. So we may end up with somebody from the Recreation Board here to give us a rundown as to what their thoughts are. Sean seems to think they have some idea and some plans for what they might want to do with that property. I think at the end of the day, it may just be us providing the town council with, yeah, what the Recreation Board wants to do sounds fine, or no, it doesn't, or, you know, maybe it doesn't fall within those, the town's, ordinances, whatever the case may be. I'm not 100% sure what they want to do. I don't think he's 100% sure what they want to do, but We'll get the, Recreation Department in here to give us a rundown as to what it is.
And with regard to that, it would make sense for us to provide the council a situation report on the property. Meaning like, is it, is the building insulated, whatever you have for information on the building, regard to septic and all that, is it all up to snuff and all that, because.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And I think Rec has that because they
Yeah.
just bought the
We
property.
just
so
have, but
we
it'll
shouldn't have-
short circuit it for.
They should have all
For
that
us reporting
information
up.
for us. Did you have-
Is that wait
Your,
or
no,
is
your
that?
light's on, so I'm pointing.
All right, all right, good.
Yeah.
One, James, yeah, I think you're 100% spot on with the cold storage, especially now with a lot of the meetings to include the town council. The printed minutes are one thing, the recorded minutes are inherently valuable, especially when people have to backtrack and look at certain things. So having redundant or bulletproof storage would be awesome. One thing that I think we have overlooked, I brought it up a couple of times in different forums with the planner and also the town council, is we should take a look at veteran supportive housing. That is a subcategory under affordable housing that is allowed, that we can actually go back and look at. We have veterans in our community, and depending on what their earning capacities are or incomes or whatever else, we don't need to get into that as public information, but whoever would be handling that can take a look at it. And even the homes they live in at market rates are allowable as long as the person has a DD 214 and the service is confirmed. We have all of these homes here in town that I think could really, really help us realize where we want to be as far as complying, so to speak, with any mandates on affordable housing. Some of, we may have a good amount of housing here in town that's not being counted, and it probably should be.
So along those lines, I'm going to make a public service announcement here, since you just brought that up. If there's any veterans out there watching this right now, or watching this on replay or whatever, bring your DD 214 and you own property here in town, bring your DD 214 into the town clerk's office. Get it registered, because you do get a break on your property taxes here in Westerly. And 30%, I believe it is.
I think
right?
so.
So they take 30% off the valuation of your home, and you pay property taxes on reduced rate
Mhm.
on your property. So if you are a veteran in the town of Westerly and you're hearing my voice, bring your DD 214 in, so that information about how many veterans you have that own homes in Westerly should be available
Yeah,
to the
so
town.
maybe
because if
that's
you're a
something
veteran
that-
And haven't registered it here,
Can be.
you should
can be
do
worked
it,
on,
because it's in your best interest.
as well.
And if
I
you-
just cut the tax rate of tax earners of Westerly
Yeah.
by announcing that to everyone, but
Shifted the bird.
I shifted the
burden.
burden.
So it's a-
Sorry, sorry, Rose, but you know,
If you,
there you go.
if you're a veteran, go tomorrow. Do not wait 10 or 20 years like I did to then get in trouble with your wife when she found out how much we would save on our tax.
See, so at that point, the heroes get to be heroes a second time, right?
There you
So
go.
they help themselves, they also help the town.
There you go.
And last item is, now that they kind of got all their paddles in the water and the team is rowing in one direction, I think it would be great if on an irregular basis or whatever, one of us just kind of dropped in and see what goes on in the housing committee meetings.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you very much. I'll run out.
Any other future agenda items or board questions? All right, hearing none, there is one other thing that I do want to bring up, and tonight is a very sad night, because one of our members, this is their very last meeting that they will be with us. Jeff, I'm so sorry that you have only been here tonight, and I'm just kidding. Chris, tonight is Chris's last meeting here on the planning board, after having served both as the chairman in the past, as the vice chairman in the past, as a member in the past. And today will be his last night and his last meeting on the planning board. So Chris?
Okay, thank you, Matt. I've been considering for a while resigning from the board, not anything pertaining to the board, but to me. I'm in the stage of life where I have other continuing commitments, and I would like to pursue more relaxing activities in my golden years. John asked me just at the start of the meeting tonight how old I am, and I told him that I'll be turning 80 in December. And you reach a point where you just, you're hitting a wall, and it's a good time. And I've kind of put this off for a bit because of two reasons. First of all, coming up, we seem to have light agendas coming up. We don't have a huge amount of planning things that we're going to be looking at. And I was also waiting for the town council to appoint an alternate member because I could not see myself leaving the council, the board with only 6 members. So I was very happy when Jeff got approved, and I certainly invite him to take my seat going forward. I've enjoyed spending the time and efforts trying to ensure that the various developments in town were compatible with the image of the unique character of Westerly. I also have placed special emphasis on aesthetics and the effects of development on neighborhoods. And I've done that by trying to put myself in the shoes of the residents. And to do that, every time we've had a development plan come forward in a residential area, I've taken the time to actually drive through the neighborhood and even beyond that, walk the neighborhood, trying to envision what 3 more houses on a small lot we're going to do, or what further effects it would have. And I was always a big one on traffic. And that was always my pet peeve, traffic reports, because they never seem to go in our favor. And, but I have certainly enjoyed my time on the board. I've actually served on planning boards now for 8 years. And I can't think of a time where I did not feel I was trying to at least contribute to the town. So with that, I would like to express my thanks for my fellow board members. I've really enjoyed serving with you all, and you all contribute a lot to in not only your thought process, but your consideration of everything going on in town. And I certainly wish you the best going forward. Thank you very much.
I just want to say one thing. Chris retired previously from the planning board. It was his term had been up and he was off. And he graciously, along with Jack Armstrong, didn't volunteer, but was asked to come back in to deal with a very difficult matter that we had before us. And there were 3, so there were 3 openings, and the board was up against it. It had 4 members. But I've been very, very fortunate to learn and to serve with Chris and Jack, and you guys showed us the ropes, and much appreciated.
I'd just like to add that you've been fantastic to kind of chase and catch up with on certain things. And you might think that you're going back to the 8-hour day, but I'm going to put you in speed dial right next to Jack Armstrong. All right. And Rose, you got to find us more like these guys. All right. You and the committee have been doing a great job getting good people up here. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Chris. Okay. Next is on the agenda is confirmation of quorum for our next meeting. We actually have 2 upcoming meetings. March 3rd, we have a special meeting at 6 p.m., but right now we don't have any agenda items for that meeting, correct? As of right now?
As of right now, we did just go through a lot of referrals, so we have opportunity, but nothing confirmed yet.
Okay, so let me confirm. Do we have anybody who's not going to be available on March 3rd? Harry? So we will have a quorum for March 3rd. March 17th, we will have a regular meeting, and we do have a public hearing for 52 Franklin Street. With
St.
fire
Patrick's
company.
Day. Really?
On St. Patrick's
St. Patrick's Day? We're granted dispensations on eating meat on St. Patrick's Day. So I don't know how they did this.
I have no idea how we didn't catch that.
O'Neill, O'Neill.
Who celebrates it on the Tuesday night? You celebrate on the weekend before.
John, he must be an Orangeman.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You celebrate it on the weekend before. Who celebrates it on Tuesday? So I'm wondering then, do we have a quorum for the 17th?
I have the fix. Are we allowed to have green beer at the meeting?
You can have green liquid.
Oh, okay. All right.
I will likely not be here on the 17th.
You would likely not be here on the 17th? You'll be in Florida? So we will still have a quorum then. We will still have,
You mean the Irish can run away with this meeting?
apparently, I
bad.
guess so. All right. In that case, that is the last thing that I can do tonight.
Second.
Done.
The meeting is hereby adjourned, at 8:25 PM. Thank you for your service.